let's talk some football on the field here. I wrote a story for LouisianaSports.net today that talks about the three matchups I'm curious to watch here with LSU and Clemson. And to me, it starts in the most obvious place. And so I'm not going to belabor this point, but I am going to bring it up to you. It's Clemson's defensive line against LSU's offensive line. And you know this by now. So, again, I'm going to get to the two other ones and spend some more time on it. But Peter Woods is big and disruptive. His statistics aren't crazy, but there's a reason the scouts like him so much. He's 315 pounds, and he's really quick, and he can cause some problems on the interior. TJ Parker is a game wrecker on the edge. Against Pitt last year, they just simply couldn't block him, and he took over the game. He had 5 TFLs and 4 sacks in that game. That's a guy on the edge. I'm curious to see how Tyree Adams and Weston Davis deal with him. You got some help from Braylon Moore on the inside with Peter Woods, but you also have to worry about Will Helt, who's the rush in from Purdue that's transferred in. They had a 5-sack season for Purdue last year that is 6'6" and rangy, and with a lot of eyes on Woods and Parker, maybe Helt gets rolling a little bit. To me, this is the biggest matchup in the game, so I can't just bypass it. I feel like if LSU holds its own here, that LSU will be just fine. You just can't let them annihilate you in the middle so that Nussmeier can't step up. You can't let him make a strip sack that creates a 12-yard field for the Clemson offense. You can't get beat in game-changing fashion by these guys. They get a sack here or there, you'll live. First down sack of 8 yards, yeah, it's bad. You're in 2nd and 18. But it's not, that's a one-time thing. What can't happen is just a consistent push in the middle of that offensive line where Nussmeier can't step up, he can't operate, and you can't win on the outside where I think your advantage is. That's, to me, the biggest matchup on the field. There is NFL talent all over the place on both offenses and both defenses. I still think there's no more crucial matchup than LSU holding its own on the offensive line against this Clemson defensive line. But you already know that, and we've talked about it. So let's get to the others that I wrote about. This one is interesting. It's Clemson's wide receivers against LSU's defensive backs. Antonio Williams is lightning quick. He had 904 yards last year. He's always open. He's a handful. Then you got the two guys that were freshmen last year that had great freshman campaigns. TJ Moore, big physical body, 6'3", goes up, makes contested catches. He's their big body guy. And then you've got a deep threat in Bryant Wesco, who averaged 17.5 yards a catch last year to lead the team. He makes a lot of big plays down the field. They got 3 dudes that are really good. I think the matchup between those 3 guys and LSU's DBs is massive. You heard me talk on Tuesday of this week about LSU and their inability to cover in these openers. Miller Moss and Jordan Travis, 75% completion, about 360 yards per game. That's just getting annihilated. And I saw the harbinger for that in fall camp both years. I have not seen the harbinger for that this year. I have seen LSU's defensive backs make consistent plays on the ball against a really good receiving core in practice. I know that Aaron Anderson's good. I know that Chris Hilton is good. I know that Berrien Brown is good. I know that Kyle Parker can make some plays. I know Nick Anderson's been a star. And LSU has covered those guys at times in practice. They didn't cover anybody the last 2 years. So Ashton Stamps, Mansour Delane, P.J. Woodland, D.J. Pickett, these guys have put up a fight against LSU receivers in camp. They've got to put up a fight against Clemson guys. I think that LSU will hold its own at the point of attack with that defensive front. I think they'll win some defensive front. Clemson's offensive line is very veteran and very good, but LSU's going to hold its own at the front. If the matchup in the back end tilts LSU's way, then you start to see a window where LSU can dominate the game defensively. It's a big if. Klubnik's really good, and those 3 receivers I just told you about are really, really good. And shutting them down is not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. But can you make things tough on them? Can you make a couple of big plays on the ball? Can you be sticky on 3rd down and force a punt? Can you get your hands on an interception to create a short field and change the game? Didn't happen the last 2 openers. Couldn't do it against Jordan Travis and Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson and those guys. Couldn't do it against Miller Moss and Zachariah Branch and Mekhi Lemon last year. Couldn't do it. If you can do it this year against TJ Moore and against Bryant Wesco and against Antonio Williams, well, could change the outcome. I think it is huge how well LSU handles itself in the secondary in this game. Massive, massive matchup to watch. And the third one, I talked about a little bit last week. Did a segment last week about LSU's special teams specifically. And I talked about having Davian Ramos back. 7th most accurate kicker in LSU history. 4th year handling kicks. Been here Brian Kelly's entire time. Had a better year last year from distance than he had previously. Made one over 50 yards. You went and addressed your punter situation, which was terrible last year. But you went to Middle Tennessee and you got Grant Chadwick. And he looks good in camp. I think he'll be just fine. And then you go to your returners, which are elite. Berrien Brown, elite. Xavier Thomas, elite. I think that gives you a really, really stout special teams unit. How about the other side? Well, Clemson had some problems last year. And by problems, I mean big problems. Listen to this number. It's mind-blowing. Clemson had 6 field goals blocked last year. 6. Now, I would suggest, with basically no knowledge on how to handle a field goal block, that you could fix that in an offseason. You could fix a massive problem with getting field goals blocked in an offseason. But I was doing a spot in South Carolina with a local radio station up there, and I asked them, like, how do you get 6 field goals blocked? I said, well, they had a huge problem on the offensive right side. They could not block anybody. And teams started attacking it, and they just couldn't fix it. I would tend to agree that you could probably fix it in an offseason, but we'll see. It still is a big issue. And oh, by the way, Dabo Sweeney was asked about the punters earlier this week, and he said, well, some days they're really good, sometimes they're not. And he did go on to add that they may have to just see how pregame warmups go to decide between 3 different punters. So while Clemson does have a really talented field goal kicker who was set the high school record for field goals made, that's a big record to set, and then did a really good job last year when his balls got airborne. When it got blocked, not so great. But when he didn't have 6 of them blocked, he was really good. And he made a 56-yarder to win the ACC championship game. So that is an encouraging sign for Clemson. But having 6 blocked is a big red flag. LSU, to me on paper, looks like the better special teams unit. Clemson's got issues. They got issues at punter, and they've got issues keeping field goals blocked up. So I look at this and I go, that is an area of this game that we haven't spent any time really thinking about, but I think it's a big deal. So to me, number one, first and foremost, huge. LSU's offensive line holding its own against the talent of Clemson's defensive line. And hey, it's fair if you're an LSU fan and you want to sit there and you go, I'm tired of hearing about Clemson's defensive line. This is a group that allowed the Citadel to run for 288 and Texas to run for 292 and Louisville to run all over them inside Clemson Stadium and North Sellers to run all over the place. Like, yeah, all that's true. They did. Same guys. Peter Woods was out there. Parker was out there. Woodaz was out there. Like, same guys. And those teams had their way with them. But I don't necessarily trust that LSU is equipped to go out there and just run it down Clemson's throat. That will surprise me if it happens. But most importantly, don't let them wreck the game. That's number one. Number two, if LSU can cover, it could be tough sledding for Clemson's offense. Big if. Big if. These are the ifs that I think determine the game. So it makes sense that they're big ifs. And then you got special teams. You're on the road. You're an underdog. A lot of talent on both sides. Veteran quarterbacks on both sides. Is it a field position deal? Do you get a situation where it's 4th down from the 11 and Clemson shanks a punt and you get it at the 20 because they just cold shanked it out of bounds? That's a big play in the game. Is it a blocked field goal? Is it a game-changing return? We already know that Clemson's not going to get a chance to return kickoffs because Aaron Burrell's going to kick it in the 3rd row. Big special teams advantage. Do you get a big punt return? Does one of their punters doesn't shank it, but he kicks a low one? There's Xavier Thomas. Does he make a play? I think these are big-time potential factors in this game. And I went a little bit more in-depth with them on LouisianaSports.net. If you'd like to read it, you can for free on the LSU page. So, hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button. Leave your comments below and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.